I'm Dr. Denise Hurd, the Director of Research for the U.S. Poultry and Egg Association. I'm thrilled to have the Chair and Vice Chair of the U.S. Poultry Foundation Research Advisory Committee, also called the FRAC, with me here today. Dr. Travis Degainero is the Chair and also the Manager of Broiler Technical Services for SEBA Animal Health. Dr. Bernie Beckman is the Vice Chair, and he is also the Director of Technical Services for Highline North America. For those of you that may be unfamiliar with the FRAC, let me provide some background. Throughout its proud 58-year history of funding meaningful research for the poultry industry, the U.S. Poultry Research Program has relied on industry experts to guide it. Since inception in 1963, it has been structured so that the critical evaluation of grant proposals and recommendations for funding of proposals has been conducted by individuals from the poultry industry and not by U.S. poultry staff. Today, the FRAC consists of 15 industry experts who fill this role. Twice a year, the FRAC reviews 150 to 200 pre-proposals received through the research program and selects which pre-proposals are invited to be submitted as full research proposals. When full research proposals are received by U.S. Poultry, the FRAC evaluates the proposals and makes recommendations to the U.S. Poultry Board and the U.S. Poultry Foundation Board concerning which proposals should be funded. U.S. Poultry's second research program is called the Board Research Initiative, and it directs additional funding towards specific research topics. Just as with the traditional U.S. Poultry Research Program, all of the evaluations of research proposals and recommendations for funding in the Board Research Initiative are conducted by the FRAC. Other functions of the FRAC include assisting with the identification of U.S. Poultry's research priorities every 2 years, as well as selecting the recipient of the Dr. Charles Beard Research Excellence Award. Now that I've shared a bit of insight into the functions of the FRAC, let us hear from the Chair and Vice Chair. Dr. Degainero, you have been working in the poultry industry for decades. Will you share with us what you enjoy most about your job and how research fits into the equation?
I have been in the poultry industry for about 30 years, but both as a production veterinarian and a technical service veterinarian. So taking part with this FRAC committee fits unusually well with all the poultry related jobs that I have ever had. The primary focus of my work has always been on the most current and most pressing problems associated with poultry production. You look for the whys, you look for the hows, and most importantly, you look for what can be done to solve the current problems within the industry. So this really dovetails well with our research model at U.S. Poultry and Egg because it follows the same pattern. When a proposal gets sent in, just not always openly, but always at least quietly, it gets asked several questions. One is it dealing with, is it doable? Is the proposal doable? Can the submitter who submitted the proposal, do they have the wherewithal? Do they have the tools? Do they have the resources to make this proposal work and get it done in a timely manner? And lastly, and probably most importantly, is this research needed? Because sometimes it's certainly not at the forefront of our problems, and sometimes the answer is already known. So that's the basis of how we handle what comes in the front door.
Thank you, Travis. And Dr. Beckman, I'll ask you the same question.
As a technical service veterinarian for Highline and the layer industry, our customer interaction on the farm are the most enjoyable part of my job. The discussion for layer performance, health, animal welfare, food safety, nutrition, all those areas allow me to give a more critical review for the research proposals submitted to the U.S. Poultry. So I think that follows along with what Travis has laid out as far as what we do with our job and how it interacts with US Poultry.
Thank you. The FRAC dedicates countless hours of service reviewing hundreds of pre-proposals, full proposals, and attending face-to-face meetings to discuss and recommend what research is most needed within the industry without any tangible incentive. Travis, why do you continue to make this commitment?
Denise, to be completely honest, all the preparations can be both tedious and time consuming, I assure you. Some proposals that are submitted are very elegant, easy to read, easy to comprehend and present on, where some are a bit more challenging to comprehend. But now the reward comes at the actual in-person meeting. And in that in-person meeting, there are about 15 people who are experts in their representative field, and they discuss the proposals that have been directed at them. So they're the most knowledgeable people in the room as far as the proposal that's on the table. Everyone has the opportunity to comment on any proposal, and I assure you the dialogue is honest and open. We try to make what gets said in that room stay in that room. The panel is represented by leading professionals from such fields as environmental, commercial eggs, broiler breeders, broilers, turkeys, animal welfare, food safety, nutrition, and probably something else I've forgotten. But in short, the reward is when you leave that meeting, you're more intelligent when you came to that meeting. That's the real reward. It's not just all work. The people on that committee learn as well as critique. It's more than just critiquing proposals.
US Poultry is not the only poultry research funding organization. There are others, which I'm sure you're familiar with. What do you see as unique regarding the US Poultry research programs?
What is unique about this process is it's a very diverse and relevant nature of all the proposals. The review process is very well balanced with good discussion, as Travis has noted. Every aspect of poultry production and processing, we find very good proposals being submitted, and those are ultimately funded. And that is what I find unique about this process, where others maybe doesn't have all those steps that go along with it.
Thank you. And the last question for both of you. To date, US Poultry has funded over $33 million in poultry research in areas that Travis mentioned, such as nutrition, food safety, animal welfare, processing, genetics, management, diseases, environmental controls, etc. What do you think has been a major success coming out of the program? And I'll start with you, Travis.
Denise, I'm not going to comment on just one success, as we have had many successes, but what I can comment on is the relevance of the research to current issues. And that's just so important to this group. And that's the two words, relevant and current. When avian influenza was at its height and really wreaking havoc in the industry, we had several projects going on with humane euthanasia and carcass disposal, which of course were very important. Along the vaccine front, vaccine technologies, proposals and projects dealing with more efficient and less reactive laryngotracheitis vaccines. RNA vaccine technologies becoming more and more on the forefront, which RNA vaccines, as we know, is what most of the COVID vaccines are. Vaccine delivery with nanoparticles, and lastly, platform type vaccines, whereas vaccines can be made in much less time. Then there's woody breast, there's blackhead, there's also not just disease, but research going on with regard to rapid diagnostics that can be done on the farm, basically with just some reagents and your laptop. But we don't really have that yet, but research is going on in those areas. And so the list goes on, but that's as far as I'm going to take it. That's all I have.
Thanks, Travis. And Bernie?
For the major success of the program, for each segment of our industry, layers, broilers, turkeys, and ducks, projects have almost an immediate impact on the industry. For the layer industry is the studies on behavior and for cage-free housing. These projects impact future design of equipment and management practices as the U.S. makes this significant transition to cage-free. And I think that's what I have to as my success for currently what's going on with U.S. Poultry.
Thanks, Bernie. And those are my questions. So at this time, I'd just like to thank both of you for sharing your thoughts with us today. I believe I can speak on behalf of U.S. Poultry, the research community, and the rest of the poultry industry when I say that your devotion to serving in these positions does not go unnoticed. Your continued service is very much appreciated, and we thank you very much. And I thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to speak with us today to share some of your commitments to the Foundation Research Advisory Committee and the U.S. Poultry Research Program. Thank you.